Okay, we are now live. Just going to let the people start
Hey.
in here. A very nice picture.
What's better, the real thing or?
I can't even tell the difference. Okay, here we go. People are coming in one at a time. Hello, everybody. Getting things set up over here. Going to get started in just a couple of minutes. Yaakov, how is New York City today?
Yo, today the weather is so insanely beautiful that I can't imagine. I just wish like New York City never had people in it and it was just us, you know, small crew.
Don't say that.
When the weather's nice, yeah, I hope not actually. But when the weather's nice, like it's just so good and it's quiet and
it's incredible.
I am very happy that I got an email last night from City MD, the what's it called, the retail like
the urgent care
thing, urgent care, that they're now doing they have like coronavirus tests at every location and antibody tests at every location, and I'm convinced that I had it with very mild symptoms, even though my wife thinks that I'm overly whatever. So I went today and I got a blood test and we'll see.
Did you go to the one on Broadway?
I went right around the corner from my house.
Okay.
Today you went?
No, I went like 6 weeks ago in the beginning. They didn't even have corona tests yet. They charged me $100 to get my fever taken.
Nice.
So.
Did you have a fever or no?
No, I was totally fine.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful today. And we'll get started in about 2 minutes here. I just took a rollerblade ride around around Long Island here. Beautiful weather. Popped in my AirPods, took some calls.
It's so nice outside.
Yes. Let's see.
It changes. It's crazy how different New York is with good weather and not good weather. Like just your ability to stay sane is significantly increased when it's nice outside.
Absolutely. Okay, here we go. More people coming in. We'll give this 1 to 2 more minutes and then we will start the show. Man, I can't imagine being quarantined in the city. We escaped to the suburbs right away. Like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you don't feel cooped up.
It has its ups and downs.
That's right. I drove in yesterday to pick up what's today? I can't even keep track of the days. I drove in on Sunday to pick up some items and the city was empty.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. People will continue to come in as we go. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our webinar. For anybody who does not know, and this will be recorded, of course, and posted online, I'm Zach Firestone with Shadow Ventures. I'm here in the New York office. Well, today I'm in the quarantine office, but in general, I'm in the New York office. We are a seed stage venture capital firm that invests in real estate and construction technology companies. I've been around a few years, on our third fund right now, actually. Today, we are privileged to have Yaakov Zar with us. Yaakov is currently the founding CEO of Lev, which is a tech-enabled commercial mortgage brokerage. He will tell you all about it. But Yaakov has a very storied past. He has a lot of successes as an entrepreneur, and so we are privileged to hear some of that today. Yaakov, welcome. If you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, anything.
Sure. My name is Yaakov. I grew up in Great Neck, New York, and I went to school at Boston University, and while I was in school, had tried to start some businesses, and since graduating, have tried to start some businesses with various results. And now I live in Manhattan, and I'm, as Zach mentioned, I'm the founder of a company called Lev. We're building a commercial mortgage brokerage powered by technology. We have a team of 12 unbelievable people, and trying to live life day to day, get by, Zach.
Definitely trying to live Lev.
Trying to do my part in the world.
Exactly.
I like that. Yeah, but trying to do my part in the world. Trying to do my part to make the world a better place.
And you certainly do it. You do a lot of community service. You spend a lot of time volunteering. I know a lot of people appreciate what you do. So definitely before we jump into Lev, because everybody wants to hear a lot about that and how you're disrupting commercial mortgage brokerage, we'd love to hear just kind of what inspired you to be an entrepreneur and what led you to co-founding your first company, and tell us about
that. Sure. So my brother likes to take credit that he would, he made me get into technology by always offboarding the tech support in our household to Yaakov knows how to do it. So I got really into computers and technology as, in middle school and high school and was building computers and, trying to make websites and all these different things. And in college, it just seemed natural. Like I was trying to make money to get through, live our life in college and not be as dependent on my mom. And I would, start making websites for people. And when Facebook started to become like a marketing platform, I started working on creating, helping businesses with marketing through Facebook. And then it also developed into a couple of my own businesses. When I was in school, I started a company called Social Rent, and we were building a Facebook app. So I don't know if you remember, but there was like apps within Facebook pages where they were like games and all these things that were being Words with Friends, I think, started over there. So we were helping students get apartments together. So it was a Facebook app where you could add in a bunch of your Facebook friends who were going to be your roommates. You could design an apartment together, and then you could send that out, and an agent would help you find that apartment. So that was my first foray into really starting a business. Tried to raise venture money for it. Didn't work out. I ended up getting introduced to someone named Avi Goldberg, and he, I went and I pitched him on this business, Social Rent, thinking he'd invest. And he did not agree to invest, but he's sort of like, all right, what are you trying to do? Why are you doing this? And when I told him a little bit of my story and I'm graduating, whatever, he said, all right, get in touch with me. If this doesn't work out, there's other things that we could do. And once I graduated, I didn't have a job. I was very sad because I was like so sure of my ability to get a job after like being, having started this business and worked on that and this internship. And I'm like, yeah, getting a job is a no-brainer. It should be easy. Right. And I was like resisting for a long time. And my mom's like, why don't you just get a job? And I'm like, Mom, you don't understand. Like, I have a vision, and my dad's like, why don't you get a job? They never do. They never get it. And then now I showed them, and then just kidding. My parents were very supportive always, but they care. So so eventually, like I literally couldn't get a job. I started interviewing and trying to figure out what I could do after realizing that the social rent thing was not sustaining me. And then I called back Avi, who had, declined to invest in my business. And I'm like, this is my situation. What could we do? And he said, come back to Boston and let's see if there's something to do. And I got on the bus and I went back to Boston, and we spoke about this idea to build an Uber for home services where you press a button and get a plumber, electrician, appliance repair person. And
that didn't exist at the time?
It did not exist at the time. There was one company called Handy, at the time they were called Handy Book, who was trying to do something similar. But it didn't exist. And we started building it. I came back 2 weeks later and I showed him a prototype, and he was super excited, and he started to pay me a whopping, couple of $100 a month salary. I lived on my dear friend David Oheb's couch for a while. He'd let me live on his couch while I was starting this business. And we sort of got up and running, and eventually we started to Avi had a lot of experience in entrepreneurship, so he was able to fundraise, and we built out this business, and up to we started the company in 2013. We sold it in the summer of 2018 to Vista Equity Partners, who's a private equity shop.
Obviously you just skipped the bulk of the story there. So you linked up with
Not that interesting. The Rocky montage happened in that point. We're just like meetings, whatever.
Give us some of the meat. First of all, it must have been incredible, to achieve a successful exit. So I'd love, I'm sure everybody would love to hear a little bit more about how that process went. But also any insights from the whole process of building a business from the beginning. Any tips you can share? Anything.
For sure. I think that every part of the business, as I'm sure you can imagine, has its own, many hours that we could discuss. I think that there's a lot that you learn, and I think the main thing, there's a blog post that I have in my to read list that had a title of something along the lines of like learning organizations grow faster. It's really, our lives are all about learning, and in entrepreneurship and starting a business, like it's highly unlikely and probably impossible that you have all the experiences that you need to start any kind of business that you're starting. And most of what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis is learn how to adapt your business and what you're trying to build, et cetera, to the current situation. And that's what it's all about. And it's insane how much you realize, like, as you're building a business, in my personal opinion and experience, that so much more time is spent, for sure, as like a founder and CEO, so much more time is spent like researching and learning and digesting and like trying to figure out how a certain situation affects you and your business, rather than doing work, which is like traditionally whatever the definition of work might be. So so that's like, so that's by far the, you know, most um important thing that I've realized is, like, you need to be learning and digesting every single thing all the time, and that's your competitive advantage. The competitive advantage is, Danny Myers, the restaurateur, has an autobiography. He talks about it. He talks in it about his role as a hospitality person is about connecting dots. So his whole job is like seeing people and creating connections between them, and like giving them an experience, remembering that their favorite food or whatever it is, bringing these little dots together, these little pieces of information together to make the overall experience better. That's totally what it is in our world as well. Like, when you're working on starting a business, I think it's all about being able to create like these connections and identify the points where, like, from a product perspective, something that I've seen in a completely irrelevant product would be really powerful for us in our product, or something that I've learned in, you know, creating a marketing, you know, strategy for a enterprise SaaS business applies to commercial real estate, which is so much of what I'm dealing with now, right? Like, I don't have experience in commercial real estate before a year ago-ish when I started this business. Like, it's, you know, I'd looked at investments and made investments and like heard of things and, you know, family and whatever, all these things, but I haven't lived in it. But there's so many other things that are relevant and so many things that can be applied and reapplied. A lot of things can't. You just have to learn how the industry works. But
Sure.
so many other things that can be applied, and that's what makes, you know, a competitive advantage, or the ability to really innovate in a business model.
Sure. By the way, quick pause. I forgot, as I always forget, to let the audience know that we have a Q&A box and a chat box, and please, we encourage everybody to submit questions, thoughts, you know, and later on today Yaakov will answer your questions. Okay, just a couple quick follow-ups on everything you just said. One is, what advice would you give to an aspiring entrepreneur, somebody who says, man, I really want to start a business. I'm afraid. My mom wants me to be a doctor. I'm trying to do that. Like, what would your advice be to somebody who's contemplating taking that plunge?
I was talking to a friend of mine who is an unbelievable engineer, and he just got laid off. And he's like, what should I do? You know, whatever. We had a very close friend of mine. We worked together previously. And I'm like, you know, your unemployment money, which is like massively inflated right now as far as unemployment goes, you make basically the equivalent of $75,000 a year, even if you didn't make that much money before. A lot of people, there was an article in the New York Times today that like you can make more money on unemployment basically right now. And, you know, props to the government for being able to figure out an approach for that, at least in the short term. And I'm like, that is your best seed money. Like, imagine that someone was paying you right now for the next 16 weeks or whatever it is to like start a business. This is your opportunity. Yeah, the fundraising environment is not perfect. The, you know, enterprise might not be buying software right now. There's all these other complexities. But if there was ever, you know, an opportunity to do something like that, it's right now. I think that's a part of it, which is like, you just have to do it to the extent possible. It's not always possible. The other part is, and it's not, you know, a new thought, but the concept of, or, you know, what's outlined in the lean startup, even to a level simpler than the lean startup, which is like in today's world, there are so many low code or no code products that exist with Zapier and like a million Airtable and a million other products out there, that you could put together a prototype of almost anything that's like at least as good enough to sell, and, you know, for sure good enough to like really help someone understand the completeness of your idea. That if you're not doing that as the first step in starting your business and trying to get a customer or trying to get someone to pay you something and like get some proof out in the market, like, then it's very hard to believe. And I do a little bit of angel investing, nothing very significant, but like, when I'm talking to someone, the difference between them coming with like a deck of an idea that they have and some sort of prototype that they've packed together, even if it's the worst prototype ever, the fact that they've like put in a lot of work and initiative and hacked together that approach it's game changer. Like, it just shows that someone's serious about something. And I think that's what it's all about.
That's huge. One more question, and then we can definitely move over to Lev and learning all about Lev. tell us anything that you can about the exit process that you experienced. We're not looking for personal details, but just in a general sense.
I'm trying to think of what's relevant. I mean, I think in any deal, there's the importance of realizing that the deal's not done until it's done, and there's a lot that happens to getting it done and getting it done right, and a lot of trust is necessary and a real understanding of like what you're trying to get out of a certain deal, and that happens in an exit as well. Like you got to know going in, what are you trying to get out? What are the important points? And it's not about squeezing every dollar out of a transaction. It's not about like, it's not about those things. It's about figuring out what can I do for the team? What can I do for myself? What can I do for my family? What can I do for the acquirers to make something long-term that's valuable, make the transaction for everyone to walk away happy? Because typically you're not in it for one exit. You're in it to like build a career of like figuring out amazing things and creating value. And any deal that you do of any sort, you want to leave enough on the table where both sides are really happy, and that's what makes that's what sets you up for other transactions in the future.
Absolutely. Okay.
It's hard, by the way. That's very hard sometimes. Like in an environment like this, like it's sometimes very, very hard to leave to leave money on the table when you're working on a transaction because things are so tight. But it's also especially important right now to do that, right? Like when you're thinking about hiring and firing and raises and cutting salaries and all these things, like those are tough things to do. But the more you go into it supporting the other party, the more it'll benefit everyone in the long run.
Right. You have to think long term. Great. Pitch us on Lev. Tell us what Lev is, how it came to you, please.
It was a vision I had in a dream. No, just kidding. So I sort of have obsessed over in my last business. We spent a lot of time. We were building enterprise software, right? And we're selling like process automation and process optimization tools to very large enterprises. And we meet with these companies who are like great businesses overall, large legacy businesses. And you realize that with some tools, they have so much operational improvements and scalability and cost optimization and all these other things. But you'd also realize at the same time that it's so hard for many of these businesses to do anything, right? They're just like too big, and it's hard. Like so my co-founder and I would always think like, oh, what if we just started like the world's greatest plumbing company with our software? We'd build like the best plumbing company ever and just be super optimized. So that was always something that was in the back of my mind. And on the other side, I had learned and sort of gotten into the world of real estate finance over the past few years, real estate investments, et cetera. And I realized that the transaction for getting financing on a commercial property is really, really complex. I had experienced this on the residential side a few years ago. My wife and I, when we were living in Boston, we're buying an apartment, and we just went through this like insane process where 3 days before closing, the mortgage company basically said we can't do it. And I'm just like, this is absurd. So I went out and I got a mortgage broker's license in Massachusetts, thinking I'd like do something for residential mortgages like 4 years ago. And then I realized, okay, residential is improving a lot. There's a lot of tools out there. There's companies like Blend and Better.com and other companies that are doing a lot on the residential mortgage side. But the commercial mortgage side is still very, very broken. There's not transparency from lenders and banks in terms of what they would like to lend on. There's no interface that makes it simple for a borrower to be able to submit information and receive feedback on it. The documents are absurd, and the brokers who are really important on a commercial mortgage process, a broker is really important on a commercial mortgage transaction because they understand the lender landscape much better than any individual other person would, because they're in it all day. On the residential side, where the product is pretty commoditized, meaning if you're buying a house, most lenders are underwriting to government guidelines for insurance purposes. So you're getting basically the same loan if you go to Bank of America or Wells Fargo. Like you're getting almost identical loans. On the commercial side, that's not the case. So many lenders and so many types of lenders are so varied that you really need to make sure that you're matching the right lender with the right property. But that information is not available. So brokers are sort of using their memory or, some level of relationships, which, what does that really mean to get these deals done? But in reality, there could be and should be hard data and systems and infrastructure to help bring in the transaction, underwrite it, and identify who the right lender is, and then be in touch with that lender and get a deal closed. So that's our vision at Lev, is to build those tools internally. We also have internal brokers that help us, help our clients execute on these transactions, and our focus is on bringing together those humans and the excellent technology to get better transactions for our clients, to get better deals for our clients.
Wow. Okay. How was the fundraising process so far?
I would like to say that it was rosy, but I don't think it's ever really rosy. You read stuff on TechCrunch, you're like, wow, that sounds great. Like Notion decided right as the pandemic was hitting that they wanted to raise a little bit of money. So I think they raised like $10 million in like 2 weeks or something. So we're not Notion. We're somewhere between the realm of Notion and, whatever other company that can't raise money. We're somewhere in between that. We, it's about dating, right? It's about finding the right partner who understands your vision, understands what you're trying to do, understands how you approach the business, because any transaction, any company that you're starting is going to have a lot of ups and downs. Like, who knew when I was fundraising a few months ago that I would be in the middle of this situation? And who knew that I would need my investors to support us in a bunch of decisions that I've made? When this whole thing was starting, I was literally texting with my lead investors. They're called Animal Ventures, unbelievable group. I was literally texting with them daily, like several times a day. They probably thought I was like going crazy. Like, I was just like back and forth, and you have these like emotional roller coasters as a founder all the time. So it's like, things are going to be great, and this is great for us. Actually, it's terrible. Actually, it's great. Actually, it's terrible, etc. And they were great. And that's what's really important. So it's not always easy to find someone who you really like and believes in you and also wants to invest in you. But I think that's what you're looking for ultimately. And sometimes it's worth it not to take money if you don't have that partner who's willing to do that, because it could hurt you later on if something like this happened and we didn't have the right partner with us. Who knew?
Absolutely. How has the real estate community responded to your tech focus as what is otherwise a traditional important sector within real estate?
Sure. I think that some people are confused and skeptical, which makes sense. Everyone's, typically skeptical initially on any new thing that they're figuring out. I like skeptical, and because I can help them understand what we do, and then it starts to make sense.
Yep.
The overall, it's working, right? When clients work with us and they, we get the transaction done, they're always happy, and they're always referring us to their friends and partners and people that they work with, and that's their number one priority. So it's never easy to convince, any segment of an industry that the way that you're doing something is different and better. So it's something that takes time and effort and, a lot of different processes, and we're hoping that it'll continue to affect. And whether people work with us or they don't, I just want, borrowers and lenders and everyone in real estate transactions to understand that there is inefficiencies that need to be improved. And if the legacy companies do it, if the incumbents do it, great, God bless them. I think that it's an optimization that needs to happen in the industry. I will help them. I'm in touch very often with many people who would be considered competitors of ours, incumbents, and I'm telling them details of what we're doing, and we're pretty open. One person in particular comes to mind. He's an amazing guy who understands the value of technology. Like, when you're building something for an industry, I actually want the entire industry to move forward. I would love if one of the large companies came out and set standards for, an API integration into Chase's underwriting system to be able to approve a commercial mortgage automatically. And Chase is working on some stuff, and whatever, and we'll be, hopefully we'll be fast enough to be able to do all those integrations with all the right partners quickly, and hopefully set our own standards. If someone bigger comes in, who's been in the space for a long time and can create standards that make sense and other people use them, that's great for me.
Right.
So there's again, there's a lot of skepticism that always comes with the game, but overall, I think once people start to work with us and get an understanding of what we could do, they feel good about it.
Got it. Somebody just sent in a question about the current situation, COVID, and how that is impacting your business and the market in general right now.
It's a crazy time. Lenders are scared. I think that lenders are having, whether it's PTSD of what happened in 2008 or something different, that they're like confused of what to do and they're locking down very quickly. Now we're seeing things open up again. We even the parts. Look, a good deal is a good deal, and we are preparing some research and content to present as well related to this. Like, a good deal is a good deal. We have a few deals that are like slam dunk deals that they were slam dunk before, and they'll be slam dunk still, right? You'll get great rates. Rates are low. Spreads in the right deals are still low. So, there's good deals to get done. The thing that it's impacted is, as a young company, we would take on a lot of, funky deals to try to get them done because I want to, we can and we have resources and we want to prove our ability. We're doing less of that now because those deals that were hard before are impossible now, and the deals that were easy or normal before are now hard. So I rather focus on the deals that are at least possible to do. And I'm very optimistic about the market. I hope that the market, the lenders will open up again and we'll be able to do all those kinds of deals. Ultimately, I'm not, as much as I believe that I'm a support and trusted advisor and friend to our clients, I'm not the lender. Like, there's only so much I could do. So I'm really there to help set the expectations and then get the best that's possible. So my value is that we've spoken to a lot of lenders and we know what they can do, et cetera, et cetera. So the market has shifted. The value of understanding the entirety of the market, I think, has gone up. People are on the phone with me all day, people who pay me and people who don't, and we just have conversations and see if we could, what guidance or advice we can give each other. And I'm hoping it'll end soon.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it'll end soon.
So when it does end soon, knock on my plastic table.
Yeah, sure.
At the end of the day, you are a startup. You're a relatively early stage startup company. Yes, you're a brokerage, but you're trying to build a technology startup. What is the next step? What comes next in your process?
For us, you mean, or for the industry?
For you, as far as building your startup.
So for me, there's a lot of after my whole up and down roller coaster for a few weeks, thinking it's the end of the world and we need to, shut down and all the back and forth. I ended up in the following position, which is the more we have time to invest in technology, and we've reduced our burn a little bit. We're spending a little bit less on ancillary things. Not being in the office itself has reduced expense a little bit. That buys us runway. That means we could build more. The more we have the capabilities to build, the more time we have to build great things, the more we'll be able to actually create the automation that we hope for in the industry. So we're working on massive improvements to our borrower portal. So when we work with a client, they have a portal where they could see what lenders we're talking to, what they're saying. They could compare terms in real time, all these communicate with us all within the portal. We're working on massive updates to our borrower portal. We're working on massive updates to our broker tool. So our brokers have like a Gmail extension where they could interact, like as they're going through their email, it basically pulls up all the deal information and they could see what their latest communication was with that lender, et cetera, et cetera. We have a massive lender like analysis database and infrastructure. So we bring in historical loan information and deals as they happen and quotes, et cetera. So those are all places that we're investing very, very much on the technology side. And I think that our next stage and part of the evolution always is to be able to evolve that into communication with lenders directly and with borrowers directly. So we're working on partnerships where we can more easily get rent rolls and be able to pull information from the clients so that they don't have to email us the latest rent roll. We can just request it and they press a button and we get it instantly upon their approval, and we can get bank statements or whatever necessary, et cetera, with a couple of clicks. So we're working on that piece of the technology, and we're the fact that the world is how it is means that hopefully we'll have we have the resources, and hopefully our clients will be able to do some of those integrations. Similarly on the lender side, so hopefully once this whole PPP insanity rolls we roll past it,
Yep.
We'll be able to get onto some of those integrations that we've been exploring with lenders so that they can quote us pricing in real time, and we could send them deal information digitally right into their shared folders in their organization. So that's our strategy, and we're very open about it, is to be able to be this sort of connected player to help our clients get better financing. I believe that there will be end-to-end automation on a lot of deals. I'm not naive that it's going to be tomorrow, and I think that the more time we have as a business to invest in that, the further we'll be able to get, and the more we'll be able to sort of have that compound on each other towards our growth. So I'm very very hopeful that even with this situation, we'll be able to continue to make significant progress there.
Absolutely, I'm hopeful as well, and I believe that you will. Another question that just came in. As a serial entrepreneur, Yaakov, is it your intention to exit each company you build, or do you see yourself ultimately building a company, this one or other, that you'd like to run longer term?
I was thinking this morning during my morning prayers about the term serial entrepreneur, and I was on a call with someone the other day, and someone's like, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I'm like, it sounds like you're using this business to like accomplish another notch in your belt. And it made me think a little bit. I'm like, is that what I'm trying to do? And I believe and hope and try to make sure that that's not what we're trying to do here. Like, when I was running Dispatch, I felt like I was going to be running Dispatch for 100 years. It didn't work out that way because certain things happened, and it ended up being the right decision to sell the business to Vista Equity Partners. Right now, I think that this is going to be a business that I'm going to run for 30 years, and I think that we're going to be a massive business. And I have a lot of confidence, entrepreneurial optimism that we're going to have an IPO, and I'll ring the bell with Zach Firestone and all my other dear friends up there. But like, if something else happens.
When that happens, Yaakov, I'm going to play this video back to you to make sure that I get invited to that event. Go on.
Great. Yeah, no, for sure. So I hope that's my expectation. It's possible that something else will come along the way, and it'll be the right decision for our investors and for my employees and for the world for us to do something else. But I believe that there's so much work that could be done around creating optimization and automation and like eliminating the massive opaque like secret fees that brokers charge and lenders charge. There's so many battles that we have to fight. I have at least a lifetime of battles ahead of us, and I think that's what I'm trying to do right now. It's not to say that there's not other things that I believe in very much that I invest time and energy in. I'm very heavily invested in a lot of like social and religious endeavors, and I try to start things there when necessary. And I have a lot of friends and colleagues and former colleagues, et cetera, that start businesses, and I try to help them in whatever way possible, whether it's investments or time or phone calls or mentorship or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I like to start things very much, but from a business perspective, like there's a lot to be done right now. Got
it. I understand you've told me that you are actually hiring right now. When much of the world is furloughing and laying off, you're hiring. Do you want to share anything about what you're hiring for, in case somebody knows?
Yeah, we're hiring brokers and a little bit of engineering. I'm trying to make a decision of how much engineering to hire right now. Probably one or two like unbelievable engineers if we meet the right person.
Mm-hmm.
But we're hiring brokers. We're hiring people who have experience in real estate capital markets and who have brokered transactions and have a book of business and have experience there. We are, I don't want to speak for my employees, for the team that we built there, but we have an amazing culture, an amazing team, and great benefits and great comp. And we want to be able to support brokers who are building and want to, we want to help them, get to the next stage of their career. And I don't think that this, the world's situation is going to affect us trying to do that. So we're excited to keep it going.
Absolutely. Is there anything else in particular that you want to share with our community?
I don't know. That's a very good question. I think that the title of this was, I need to look at the title. It was Keys to Building a Successful Venture. I thought it was a little bit of, exaggerated title. I didn't say anything to you. It's a lot to, I don't have any secret sauce. But the thing that I think is really important is to realize we have a very limited scope of things that are within our control. Like and the more you think about it, the more you realize how little is in your control. Whether you run the entire business, or you are an employee somewhere, or whatever, career, personal, beyond, your control of things is so small, and we see that right now. Like, no one had any control or any ability to predict anything related to the current situation. We do have control over our mindset. We have control over our being and existence and approach and what we put in. And I think it's really important to just keep that in our mind. Like, it's through positivity and through joy and through love for people you collaborate with, for people that you work with, through attention and care for everyone that you interact with, and professional and beyond, and through an awareness that we do our part and God runs all of the rest of the world. And God, or whatever being, or non-being, or nature, whatever you want to, whatever you believe in, runs everything else. So it's about being able to focus on the things that we could do. I could, read that extra thing instead of watching a Netflix movie that will, make me smarter. Or I could be really kind to this person because they deserve it and it's not going to hurt me that much. And I could, pay this person a little bit more because it's not going to, really be that big of a deal in, XYZ scenario. I could be, more positive on that deal. I could go the extra mile for a client. These are things that are in our control, and everything else is not. So spending a lot of entrepreneurs, and me, myself also, I'm talking more what I'm trying to aspire to myself. There's so much time I spend thinking what am I going to do about this? What am I going to do about that? How can I change this? How can I affect that? And just taking a step back, every time I take a step back and realize there's, I have only so much control over the situation. It's really important in, making sure that we stay sane and maintain a clear mind to be able to do what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. Yaakov, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you, whether they are real estate investors who want to explore your services, or perhaps a candidate for hire, or anything else?
My email address is ZAR, my last name, Zar, at lev.co, Zar at lev.co.
We'll circulate
or you could apply through our website. Yeah, you could apply through our website. And you can ping me and we can get on a call or Zoom or whatever and talk. And whether it's about a deal or whether it's about career or whether it's about starting a business, I'm happy to help, as much as possible. Yeah, I'm always happy.
I'd encourage people with serious inquiries for help to reach out to Yaakov. He's a great person. He's always there to help people even without getting anything in return. Yaakov, thank you very, very much for being here today. An honor. It's a pleasure. You're an incredible founder. Loved hearing more of your story, and definitely encourage everybody to please follow Lev, and we're expecting greatness. Stay safe.
Thanks, Zach. Take care, brother.